You're listening to New Soundwave with your hosts, John DeLuna, Brian Kilby, XV, Lady Rick, Weebum, with Rob Springer.
Hey everybody, it's your old friend John DeLuna. Happy Thanksgiving. We're traveling a little light this week, but we've got the people on the show who really love you. We've got Amy, XV, and Brian and myself. How's everybody doing? How's it? You contribute plenty, XV.
You contribute a lot of XV.
I didn't say I didn't contribute. I just said I don't love you that much.
You don't love anything.
That's
relatively speaking. You have like a mild attraction to our audience. Right?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Asperger's, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. He does.
A funny story.
I think I'd rather that, but never mind.
Funny story on that. I was this was a couple years ago, so I can tell this story. I was walking with a friend of mine, and we were like jogging, so it was kind of recreational. And he turned to me and he said, "I think my wife has Asperger's," and I had no idea how to react to that or what to say. So, I still don't to this day. So when we bring up the possibility that XV has Asperger's, I'm just going to kind of sit back and see what happens. I don't know how to react to that. Anyway, okay, so welcome to the video game podcast, clearly. This is New Soundwave 55, and it's the end of our contest. So later in the show, I'm going to announce which one of our fine listeners wins a brand new copy of Super Street Fighter 4 for the 360. We do have a winner. People do win on this show.
Wow.
But first, we're going to talk about a possible PlayStation phone announcement. Netflix dropping the price, but there's a catch, small catch. And then some other topics, including our buying guide. We continue our buying guide for the holidays, and we say happy birthday to one of the greatest games ever made, ever. So first, the Sony Ericsson CEO has suggested that February may be when we officially see and hear about the PlayStation phone. At this point, still, is there any reason this should be happening? I guess not. We've kind of talked about this. It's so weird. It's so weird to think that we're going to get a PSP2, which we have seen pictures of, apparently, and a PlayStation phone. This seems like the biggest mess possible, doesn't it?
People want a phone that is a phone, first and foremost, and it just happens to play games really well. Not something that's designed for games and is a really crappy phone.
Absolutely, because we've seen how that works.
Yeah.
Frankly. Even in theory, if it was like a great phone and a great game system, I don't know if people can wrap their heads around that.
No.
Because the iPhone is sort of that. I mean, it's it's an interesting game system, if anything, and it's an okay phone. It's more of a fun fiddly gadget, which is probably the best you could hope for with something like this.
Yeah, and if you're going to be spending $40 and $50 a pop on the games, I mean, it definitely has to be better than...
Yeah.
There's a higher level of expectation. I mean, if you can get a game for free or for $2 on the iPhone, why are you going to pay $40 for a crappy game on, the PSP phone?
Absolutely, and that's a good question. I think that may actually be the most interesting piece of news when we hear about their business model for the games, like what they're going to charge, and how are they going to be delivered, and yada yada yada. Anyway, so Brian, do you have Netflix?
Yeah, buddy. Totally.
You have Netflix streaming, I guess?
Yes. I'm going to save $1 a month.
You're going to save $1 a month?
Yes.
That is awesome. That is like $12 a year.
Yes. Well,
it's like the cost of a deluxe almost.
Yes.
Almost.
Not counting taxes. You could throw down $12 and run out the door of Walmart and see if they chased you down for the tax. So yes, Netflix streaming.
This right here, this is my disc. Go ahead, Amy.
Go ahead, Amy. Amy's joining us real quick. Does she have anything? Well, Brian gets his Netflix thing.
I have joined you. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hello, Amy. Amy, we're talking about Netflix.
Ask if streaming Okay, you guys
Oh,
can
yeah.
hear me.
We are in the middle of the show. We're actually talking
Yes.
about Netflix. For some reason, I just thought in my head Netflix was $10 a month, but it's actually $9 a month.
Now it's $8 a month for me.
It was because now they've lowered the price if you don't want DVDs delivered to your home, and if you just want Netflix streaming, what is it? Is it $8 now,
It's gonna be
Brian?
$8.
Like $7.99.
This disc, which I hold in my hand, has never been in my DVD player. I have had it for a year and a half. I had no idea what it was. It's Captain N in the New Super Mario World show, disc 1.
Wow.
I have never
Awesome.
watched this. In
Awesome.
fact, this is on Netflix streaming. I could watch
Yeah, I was
this
gonna say.
Netflix streaming.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So I guess the instant that you heard about this, like you were like doing backflips, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm saving $1. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, it is kind of like, I guess it's just like one more little like step towards everything just being digital. Because I mean, like it's weird because it's like Netflix like slowly transitioning away from what they are.
yeah, what ticks me off about this story is the news outlets have covered it as a price hike. It's a price drop because you shouldn't be getting freaking discs in the mail. That's so last decade. I mean, you want to get streaming media. That's the way to go. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's such a great deal. Why on earth, muck
It's
up
good as long as you've got a good enough internet connection to.
You can have
get it.
as long as you got crappy DSL like you have, you can enjoy Netflix. You may not be watching high def movies, but who cares? You can watch, crappy old 80s sitcoms and stuff like that. For $8 a month.
Do you want to watch Cheers, XV? Again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Alf? Good
Man,
God.
Alf is
man.
awesome.
Oh yeah.
Good gosh. Yeah, and the other thing about Netflix streaming is frankly like, okay, I've got an iPhone. I can, for my $7 to $8 a month, I can watch Netflix on my computer, on my TV, and on my phone, and I can watch it on my phone anywhere. And it's not gonna if it's on Wi-Fi, it's not gonna cost me anything to watch it. That's all for like $8. No, I don't. Clearly, I don't need DVDs. I mean, Netflix streaming is like literally everywhere, whenever I want it. So yes, this should not. You're right. This shouldn't be reported as a price hike. That's kind of weird. I guess that's like the press being the press.
It's like people not understanding technology. Which imagine that.
Yeah,
That happens a lot,
Crazy
actually.
Yeah.
You'd be
people.
surprised.
yeah. Crazy old people.
Yeah.
Dan Rather and all of them. Where's Dan?
They don't need to have technology anyway.
No.
No. Well, they clearly they don't have it to be. I guess right now.
I have my amplitude modulation, and that's good enough for me. Sorry.
Hey, after a 16-year absence, this is kind of neat. Nintendo is going to return to the CES. Brings back some memories. So
Yeah.
hopefully, we'll get some cool DS stuff, maybe some 3D stuff.
Well,
But
why are
it's
they
kinda
doing
neat.
this?
You know what? That's a good question because I think the long-standing opinion is like trade shows like that are like last decade and very expensive, and there's not a lot of.
But they have
payoff.
E3. I mean, E3 is a dedicated gaming convention.
Yeah, and if you remember, like E3 shut down for what was it? It was only like 1 year where they like scrapped it completely and had like this really exclusive getaway at like
Yeah.
a Las Vegas hotel because because E3 had gotten too big and too expensive and just too much, so they kind of like burned it to the ground. But like after a year of trying something different, they returned to it. Anyway, yes, E3 is like the place to be if you're going to do this. And then, like I said, even if you do this, it's kind of accepted that trade shows are basically burning money, and it's kind of an ego thing. So I have to assume it's an ego thing. I mean, I have to assume it's somewhat.
But CES, I mean, they left CES because they weren't getting any coverage. They weren't getting any
Right,
floor
right.
space. And, E3, of course, now, that was before the gaming was the huge monolith of an industry that it was a kind of a curio. It was a curiosity back then. Now it's the biggest mass media, market there is, basically.
I mean, I don't know. Who knows? But I think it probably boils down to ego. I guess. I mean, that's the only thing I could imagine. Well, here's an interesting story on used gaming and why the royal we, why we buy new games versus old games. Because if you look down the street at your local GameStop, they exist because of used games,
Yes.
basically.
Pretty much.
So the giant market for used games cannot be denied. And like I said, it props up one of the biggest video game chains in the country. An analyst group has conducted a survey to try to find out exactly why do we buy used games here and a new game there. And 70% of respondents, this is about 1,300 people, 70% of them say they would buy a new game, quote, if they plan on playing it for a long time.
Makes
So
sense to
apparently,
me.
which makes sense, right? So apparently what it means, what they're, pulling from this is that there's some kind of like psychology where
That's all it is.
we justify the high price, and it's pretty high these days. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Special Edition will cost you like $80 to pre-order.
Wow.
So yes, like games these days are insanely expensive when they're new. There's a psychology going on that if you can justify to yourself, well, I'm going to play this game for like 6 months at least. You work out in your head, that's like, $10 a month or something like that. So that's why gamers buy new games.
I can tell you exactly why I buy new games as opposed to old games. I buy a new game when the game is new, and getting it used is not easy. Like the day it's released. I buy
Nice.
used games if I consider it a disposable thing. Like I'll go to Amazon and I will buy, 7 or 8 used games for like between $8 and $15 because just games I've always wanted and I, might want to play a little bit. But so it's exactly like that, but if I don't consider the game an investment of time, it's just a convenience. So, yeah, I'll buy a used game. if
Yeah,
it's cheap.
absolutely. Arkham Asylum was like that for me. Like I knew I was going to play it and I really wanted to play it, but I didn't have to have it on launch day. So I just waited till it was like $20. Yeah, actually it was like $20 new for a while,
Is
but I
it
waited till it
is Arkham Asylum $20?
it's been that way. I mean like here
Oh,
and there.
cool.
you'll
I need
get,
to go
like,
buy that.
You'll get a sale, but like,
Amazon.
if you want it used,
$25
finding it
bucks.
for yeah. So see, and then I guarantee you, like there's sales when it hits like 20, and that's
But
new.
that's
But
basically the same
point
philosophy
is,
I'm working on with War for Cybertron. I'm waiting for the price to get low enough
I
that
bought it. I bought it new.
yeah.
I have
I'm
yet
not-
to.
I
I
bought
have,
it used.
I've yet
I bought
to-
it used when it
I
was
got it
still
used after 2 weeks.
I have yet to play it more than 20 minutes, but I bought it brand new. I'm a sucker.
I'm so sorry, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm so
I play it a lot. I play it almost every other weekend. Well, I do every other weekend because I do an Xbox Friday, but like sometimes at night I'll just pop on and
What I did buy new?
an
Kinect.
hour connect.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. And
I haven't
the
broke down and
viewers
got
will just
it.
have to trust that you love it.
Yes.
So Amy,
Yes.
War for Cybertron's been out for a while. Does it still hold up? I guess.
Well,
you?
for me it does, just because I like getting online and playing with other like fans, and
Mm.
I do get on every once in a while and not play with anybody, but yeah, it does. I still like it.
So,
But
so Amy, is it like are you a girl? Is that how it is? That's what I take it when when I just imagine you or any other female playing this game with trans fans.
there have been a few that have said that. Are you a girl? Yes, I am a girl. And they're like, wow, girl, can I add you to the friends list? I was like, sure.
Are you like really a girl?
Awesome. That is awesome.
It's like, well, I do go by Lady Rack. No, I've had a few people say that, wow, they find out that I'm not like, that I'm a mom. They're like, whoa, you're older? And I was like, yeah, it's okay. I'm all right with it if you are. But it
That's
kind of
awesome.
gets a little weird because it's like, you have kids?
Will you be my girlfriend?
I've had one person say, will you go out with me? And I was like, dude, I'm married.
Wow, really? Awesome.
Oh, I was joking about that. That's even better.
That's good stuff.
No, I got a message. He didn't talk to me. He just like messaged me and said, "Will you go out with me?" And I said, "Dude, I'm married. Sorry." And he's like, "Oh, that was it. That was all I got." I was like, "Funny."
Well, that's all you can say, right? When you throw
Yeah.
down the marriage, throw down the husband hammer.
Yeah.
There's
And
nothing-
kids
there's
on
nowhere to
top
go.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I
It's
have
not like
friends
you're washing
who-
your hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have run into like two or three other ladies, and so, there are a few more online than you'd think.
So is there like Lady Wreck, Lady Rule, Lady Robot, or something?
Awesome.
Okay.
Very funny.
Sorry.
Very
I like it. I like it. You really should, though, like form a clique to like
Yeah,
look out
sure.
for each other. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. The ladies' club. That's right. Hey, if you like Uncharted and you like Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch,
Who doesn't?
yes, you're gonna love the Uncharted movie. Yeah, because if you didn't know, yes, they're gonna make Uncharted as a film, which kind of works.
Which
I
it
mean,
makes
that wouldn't be a
sense.
stretch.
They can just basically film
Yeah.
the game and act it out.
Yeah, they won't though,
Yeah.
because they never do that with video game movies, unfortunately. Anyway, yes, if you haven't figured it out, Mark Wahlberg will be Drake in the Uncharted film adaptation. And here's a little bit of craziness: the director of that movie, he's after Joe Pesci. Where's Joe Pesci been? And Robert
He's
De
still
Niro.
alive?
He's
I
still
thought
around,
he was
yes.
floating in formaldehyde. That doesn't make any sense.
I guess he's retired or something. I don't know, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't he retired?
Someone uncork
Yes.
Joe Pesci.
so
Okay.
we'll revive him, reanimate him. Yeah, so Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, Marky Mark. This cannot go wrong, folks. This cannot go wrong. We can only hope this happens. So, in other news, you know what? This I actually probably should have put this next story, and this is our last story before we get to announcing our contest winner.
Ooh.
I should put this up here with Netflix because it's kind of related as far as like the costs of gaming, the costs of digital content these days. Hey, if you don't like DLC characters in your Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which cost $80 to pre-order, like I mentioned
my
earlier,
God.
in the
Wow.
too bad, buddy. Too bad, because Capcom's got a family to feed, and they are going to need that DLC character money. The industry has changed a lot since Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which was 10 years ago.
Yes. On the Dreamcast.
One of the biggest changes, of course, is these days when a game's released, there's no guarantee it's the whole game. Case in point, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which, along, yes, with that $80 you spend to pre-order the special edition of it, comes with 2 downloadable characters. So right off the bat, they've kind of let it out of the bag that characters will be coming as downloadable content, as the game ages. And Capcom has now gone into spin control because everybody has already like sniffed out the idea that who knows how many characters could be coming, and they'll be $5 or $10 a pop. They've said basically that DLC characters are a necessity because, and they're not trying to nickel and dime you, that's a quote, we're not trying to nickel and dime characters. DLC characters are a necessity to offset rising development costs. So apparently, whether you believe that or not, games these days, and some games definitely, are so expensive to produce, basically have like the budgets of small movies, that they need to release DLC content just to justify the cost and make it profitable. So take that for what you will. Now here's an interesting discussion when it comes to this genre of game. Actually, with DLC characters, you could argue that the people who buy all these characters and have like a full roster are going to have an incredibly unfair advantage over other players.
You think so?
And here's another. Well,
I think there'd be a disadvantage.
First of all, I guess fairness isn't the biggest deal. Is so much. There's going to be an interesting dilemma. This is already sort of the case a little bit in Super Street Fighter 4. Because here's a real quick story. Like in Super Street Fighter 4, there are costumes that you can buy.
Yes.
Which is pretty harmless. I mean, it doesn't really affect the game. It's all cosmetic. Recently, they've released the first set of costumes that are not hidden somewhere in the game itself.
It's an actual download instead of an
It's an actual
unlock.
download. It's actual new data that goes into your system. What that means is, like, if you play somebody online and you haven't bought the costumes they've bought, you can't see them. So the game will tell you, hey, you haven't like bought this costume that this other character has.
So what do you see him? Just naked?
Well, so boy, I wish, right? That would be a whole different kind of audience. No, you see them as like their default.
Sorry.
Their default. No, but I mean that's awesome. I don't know. We should make some calls on that one. We should make some calls. So you
No,
see
that
them
was,
as
that was a
like
good idea. That was a good idea.
their default appearance. Yeah. So, it's their basic appearance, their normal costume. So that's what you see. But what happens if we get around to characters? So how are they going to resolve that? Where somebody is like, oh, you're fighting against so-and-so character, but you haven't bought this character. So what's going to happen? So that's going to be interesting.
That is new, isn't it? Because in
Yeah,
the past,
so
it's always been a character you just not unlocked. So
Right.
it's no big deal, but...
Right. So I guess, I can only guess, I guess the game itself, somewhere in the game are all these characters, all these unlockable characters, buyable characters.
Maybe there'll
Or
be a
would it
wireframe
be
or
that
something.
somewhere in the game there's a line of code and you can't pick a character for an online fight that both people don't have?
That would kind of suck, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would
It
suck.
would. It would.
Yeah. So anyway, chew on that, Capcom. Chew on that.
Well, I
Which
think it might
brings us-
depend on the
yeah.
game too.
Yeah, it could.
Because they have download things on the War for Cybertron one, but we can see the characters. But maps, if you don't download those maps, you just can't play.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. To be honest
It
with you,
is
that
kind of
kinda
sucks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes you have
so-
to, especially if you get in a group with people and you can't.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Interesting.
one person that does not have the downloaded maps and stuff, and so then they get kicked out, so they can't play with the group. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So see, that's an interesting. That kind of stuff's going to become a bigger and bigger problem with DLC, frankly. So we'll see how
I
it
have to
turns
say, previous conversations that we've had about like copyright and things like that, I actually kind of look at it and think, in some way, it's actually better for the the gaming industry, just because if you buy the game cheap or whatever, at if you buy it old or whatever, if you don't have the download content to play with it, that's another way that they can get more money.
It is indeed. Hey, speaking of Street Fighter, we had a contest, and we have a winner of the contest. So the last
All right.
few weeks,
Hmm.
so for the last few weeks, when we tweet that a new show is posted, we've asked our listeners and viewers to retweet that tweet, and the more times they tweeted it, actually, the higher their chances to win. And so our winner of Super Street Fighter 4 for the 360 is Mr. Barricade 64. His real name is
Woo! Barricade
His real name is
64.
Josh.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Gosh.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes,
He will
yes,
be
yes. He
ecstatic.
retweeted.
Yeah.
He retweeted multiple times.
He retweeted his heart out.
Yes, yes. His took us off, his bumper off, I guess, if he's Barricade. But like I said, he is a human. His real name's Josh. We're going to withhold his last name just because.
It's on Twitter.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Twitter.
yeah.
Contact him. We will mail his game ASAP. And just so you know, yes, this was unbiased. My unbiased wifey drew his name from a flaming bucket of acid.
I'm impressed. That's very
Actually-
metal.
That's hard.
Usually
Well,
impressed
she does
if
have a
that actually
PhD,
happened,
so-
which it didn't. She actually pulled his name out from the hat that I'm wearing here.
Was it on your head when she pulled it out?
That would be kind of neat. If we had pulled that off, there would have been like video documentation of it. But,
Good. I was going to suggest that. If you ever do a stunt like that, make sure to record it for the rest of us to enjoy.
Yeah. Well, we'll see about the next
It'll be
contest
like the new
next week.
Soundwave post-game show.
Yes.
We may we may do that. And if I can eat some ghost peppers in tribute to Brian, it will happen. So that brings us. So anyway, congratulations, Josh. Barricade 64. We'll contact you. So that brings us real quick to our topics to wrap up the show. Real quickly to follow up on our buying guide. 'Tis the season. I'm just going to kind of throw this out there. As far as like consoles, that'll be the topic for this week. There's the 360s, there's the Wii, and the PS3. Brian, I'll pose this question to you because I definitely have an answer. At this point, is 360 for like even semi-serious gamer like the only way to go if you're going to
Kinda.
give them a system?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, the PS3 is actually doing a pretty good job of catching up as far as like the media stuff goes, because it has Hulu Plus and it has Netflix now that you don't have to use a disc for. But I mean, the game selection. There's some great games like Uncharted, and Gran Turismo 5 is actually coming out. But
yes, soon, like the 24th.
Yeah,
is that today?
Which, I mean, honest to God, if Gran Turismo had come out like 3 years ago, I would already own a PS3. But at this point, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But the 360 is such a great deal, and as far as like the motion control, I don't think anything's going to touch Kinect. Kinect is amazing.
Yeah, give us a little taste of Kinect. How's that been?
Well, you hear people talk about how it sort of immerses you into the game, and you're not really prepared for it, because I was like playing the river rafting game on Kinect Adventures, and it I mean it does a great job of tracking you. And yes, I have Dance Central, but
nice.
Yeah.
Too bad that video got shot down.
We need video for
Yeah,
that.
no. But it's fun. It does an amazing job tracking you. It's insane. I don't know how it works. And, playing motion-controlled gaming, I don't think I could ever go back to holding a Wiimote or a wand or whatever.
Interesting.
You don't wear. You don't have to have a controller for that.
At all. And I don't think I could bother. I don't think I could play Wii Sports again. I just don't see it.
Interesting.
It'd be pretty awesome if an integral part of the Kinect was a suit with the motion capture dots all over
The
it.
little balls.
Yes,
Yeah.
or like a Tron suit.
Not needed. Now, what would be cool?
That'd be like the Sony Move version
Yes.
of the Kinect.
Yeah,
It would be.
It would also be like $700.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think you really got to go 360 because it's got Kinect. It has all the media functionality. It's a great media extender. It's insane, and there are a lot of great games for it.
Would you say that this is a Wii killer?
Yes. Now it's a Wii killer in the sense of the technology, but the Wii is already so entrenched into. But I mean, the Wii is basically plateaued. What Sony and Microsoft are doing so well with this generation of gaming is, it's not about making new systems. It's about it being extensible with your hardware. You know, you already have a 360. Okay, well, you know what? Now you have another reason to go out and spend $150. You're not sinking $400 or $500 into a new console. You're just investing into what's already out there. You know, to a lesser extent, the Wii did it with Wii Fit, the Wii Fit balance board, but that's only for fatties who want to lose weight, or middle-aged women who want to do yoga. I do too.
Yeah, my wife's got one.
Yeah, but I mean, but it doesn't do anything beyond Wii Fit. I mean,
it's just another play on the same gimmick.
Yeah, you could. I mean, yeah, sure, you could do a snowboarding game poorly, but I mean, the sell through on the Wii. I mean, there are hardly any. What is it? 2.5 games per unit sold.
Yeah, and it's Mario or Zelda.
It's
basically
pathetic. Really, if like my boss just bought a Wii for his son, and I hope his son's not listening for Christmas. I know he's not. And I'm like, he's not.
You are so fired. Dude.
Yeah, it's not going to work because he's going to play Wii Sports, and that's going to be it.
That's all I play.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Wii. I have like 7 games, and I never frickin' touch it. Occasionally, I will download a game I want on Virtual Console when it comes out, but I don't play it. All my time is spent on the 360, and it's mostly for media extension. But now that I have Kinect.
Having just bought my first 360 just this last summer.
Hopefully it's your only 360.
Ever since I've gotten it, I have not touched my Wii because the graphics are just, you cannot compare.
And the graphics on the PS3 are even better, technically.
Yeah.
I mean, at this, it's really close, but at this point, the PS3, they're actually doing more with the hardware. The PS3, like Uncharted 2, is gorgeous. I mean, it really is. And but it's Uncharted 2 isn't enough to keep me, on a PS3. I don't own a PS3.
Yeah,
I no longer have PS3 envy. I mean, Blu-ray players are cheap if you want a Blu-ray player, but why would you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's kind
of
of a turnaround this generation from the last one, where at least
Sony
for me,
owned it.
it's like really wanting to get a PS2 after a few of the interesting games came out. Interesting to me, I should add. But I never had any desire for the original Xbox, and now this time around, I've got the 360, my second one actually, and I have not had any interest in getting a PS3 at any point along the way.
I mean, I had a launch PS2, and I still have it. It still works.
I have a PS2 as well.
I mean, I had it day one.
Oh wow.
And I mean, it still works.
Nice.
It's amazing.
Nice.
I'm amazed
Great.
that it still works.
Yeah,
And
mine died just a couple years ago. It's kind of sad.
As far as the games go, I mean, yeah, the PS2 really owned that generation because there were more games available. But I mean, far and away, the Xbox is the most powerful system, but it didn't matter. I mean, the games were
No, it's all
on the
about
PS2.
the software.
It's the
all
way
what you
around
do with
now.
it. Yeah. Okay, good stuff. So, hey, everybody, buy a 360 for your favorite kiddo. To wrap up the show, we are going to extend... Just not a used one. Or not a dead one, since those are fairly common, let's be honest.
Yeah.
To wrap up the show, we're going to say happy birthday and share a few thoughts on legitimately one of the greatest games ever created. Super Mario World turned 20.
Oh my God,
turned
I'm old.
20
Wow.
on the 21st. That's right, it was 20 years ago, people. We're old.
I was in 5th grade.
So yes, November 21st, 2010 marked the 20th anniversary of the release of Super Mario World. Technically speaking, on the Super Famicom.
Yeah.
But hey, so since it's released, I think most people have considered it one of the great games of all time. It was a launch game, clearly, obviously, along with F-Zero and Pilot Wings. Who remembers those?
I haven't heard in a
F-Zero's got kind of some
Pilot
name
Wings was
issue.
kind of the suck. It was all.
Yeah,
It was Pilot Wing was just there to show off the hardware.
But
Remember Pilot Wing 64?
Pilot Wing 64 was the
please
suck,
not. Please no. But through all that, what we got was Super Mario World. And so a little background real quick before we talk about it. One of the neat things about Super Mario World was its non-linear play. And if you didn't know, you could actually beat the game by playing only 12 levels. If you were good
really?
or in a hurry, you could beat it by playing 12 levels. And according to its creator, Miyamoto, Super Mario World took 3 years to develop, and the concept of Mario riding a dinosaur was actually part of the development of the original game, of the NES game. They just couldn't pull it off back in those days.
Wow.
So Yoshi was a very old idea. Early in its development, the game was going to be called Super Mario Brothers 4, and in an issue of EGM, they called it that. And even on the Japanese cart, you can still find that. Early screenshots from the September-October issue of Nintendo Power show graphics that were similar to Super Mario Brothers 3, so that kind of got tweaked. And these screenshots were from a press conference back in 1989. Oh, man. Yes, where they revealed the final specs for the Super Famicom. In fact, the raccoon suit was present in those early versions back in the 80s.
Wow, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been cool. And then Super Mario World, of course, also enjoyed a short-lived TV show. I don't know if you guys remember that. I actually do remember.
NBC.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Only 13 episodes.
It
were
followed
created.
Camp Candy, if I remember correctly.
Yep, it was in that vintage.
You guys, that's awesome.
That might have
Only
been Super
13
Mario
apps.
3.
But they were aired quite a bit for many, many years. So, it was on TV for a while.
Yeah.
And re-releases of the game, of course, have come throughout the years. The first one was Super Mario All-Stars.
The
for the
second version of
Yes.
Super Mario All-Stars, there was
Yes.
the original just included the Super Mario 3, then the Lost Levels, then there was a second version later on that was packed in with a system, if I remember correctly, that included
Yes,
Mario
it was
World.
the pack-in. It was the pack-in towards the end of the Super Nintendo days. And then there's also stuff like the Super Mario Advance 2 for the Game Boy Advance and the Virtual Console. In summary, a fantastic game. Fantastic. Brian, do you have any thoughts on it?
It's my favorite Mario game. It's not the best Mario game. I mean, everyone agrees that that's Mario 3. And it really is. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to argue that it's not. But even to this day, Mario World is a beautiful game. It introduced a lot of... It really changed the way you think about Mario. He became a much more dynamic character. It's almost like the jump from... It's almost like he went from being just a flat two-dimensional character to being like almost a real person. It's a great game. I beat it the day I got it.
Boy.
Wow, you just plowed through it.
Yeah.
Did you get the Super Nintendo on launch day or
No.
close to it?
No, actually, I got it about a year later. I actually, at the time of launch, it was either buy a Super NES or a TurboGrafx 16. I still stand by the TurboGrafx 16.
Okay. All right. Okay. No shame, buddy. No shame.
No
You still
shame
have that
whatsoever.
thing?
I have 2 of them.
Oh no. I mean that's great. That's twice as nice. That's twice as nice. Anyway, so yes, happy birthday to Super Mario World. Next year you can drink. So that will do it for a new Soundwave Show 55. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We will be
And anytime the
back,
princess keeps getting kidnapped, they need a drink.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So next year, Mario can go binge drinking, and it's just downhill from there. Let me tell you. So anyway, yes, for the crew, for Amy, XV, and Brian, I'm John DeLuna. That'll do it for New Soundwave Show 55. We'll be back strong and in full force next week. But in the meantime, as we've said, have a happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays, everybody.
This has been New Soundwave with your hosts, John DeLuna, Brian Kilby, XV, Lady Rick, Dweebum, with Rob Springer. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Check out all our videos at tfvideo.net. Like the podcast? Tell your friends. New Soundwave is a radio-free Cybertron production. Copyright 2010 Radio Free Cybertron.